Now, the first reason that Viktor Orban has lost is 100% because of JD Vance. I'm not kidding. Like, look at this. JD Vance goes and talks to the Pope dies. JD Vance goes in order to negotiate the Iranian peace treaty. The negotiations fail. JD Vance goes and talks to Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban loses. Like, look, I'm a superstitious man. I'm from Eastern Europe. I believe in these things. Like, there is something to do with being a jinx, and JD Vance is one of them. Jokes aside, though, if you're going to go to the press, right, if you go to the official sources, you will find out why Viktor Orban has left. They will say that the Hungarians have finally taken back their country. So up until now, despite the fact that Viktor Orban has won elections, the country was stolen from the Hungarians. But now they have their country back, and so the land of milk and honey will overflow from the European Union. They will say things like the war versus peace, that the fear-mongering that Viktor Orban tried to do, that the Hungary is going to be dragged into the war in Ukraine, didn't materialize in the young voter. They didn't believe them. They trusted the European Union. They trust the institutions. They believe that Hungary has been taken off course, that they're on the wrong side of history, and now they have recalibrated with the European Union, which is what every single decent, normal, healthy nation does. Okay, so this is what the press will tell you. Now, let me tell you what actually happened, right? Viktor Orban didn't lose because some guy with brand new opinions and vision of the world and a way to restructure the system woke up one day and managed to bamboozle the young generation into trying something new. No. Viktor Orban lost to a guy from the inside. The guy Magyar was literally inside Orban's party. He actually noticed how the machine is run. He understands exactly how Orban managed to win elections in the past. And so he went to the European Union. He made deals, promises, and concessions, which is pretty much the way politics work. And in the meantime, Viktor Orban did the same with the United States. He also made deals, promises, and concessions to the US. It does seem that the European Union apparatus was actually stronger at making the people and convincing them to go to vote than JD Vance managed to convince them. Now, it's important to understand that Magyar, as I mentioned before, isn't some liberal reformer. He is actually a 45-year-old person that used to be in Orban's own party, and he is also the former husband of Orban's justice minister. And so it's important to understand that the people didn't take back their country. No, they didn't reject illiberalism. They just picked an illiberal guy over another. And usually this happens not because people they crave democracy or something like that. It happens because corruption becomes way too fucking obvious. People in Eastern Europe don't really care about social issues. They don't really care about moral issues. They care about being robbed. And so when they notice that the prices are going up, when they notices that the taxes are going up, when they're noticing that they don't get anything else in return, then they start voting for literally anybody else. And so corruption in Hungary has stopped being abstract. And obviously the European Union capitalized on this, right? Like they have an entire army of NGOs, of journalists, of academics, of professors, and they all sing with the same voice before the election, and they also have like the democracy shield that protects the internet from misinformation and other things like that. So of course, you know, like the balance is going to be tipped one way or another. But like, again, this is how elections are usually ran. The reality is that you also need a genuine grievance. And corruption in Hungary is an actual general grievance. When people notice, as I mentioned before, that their wallet hurts and that the economy is stagnating, and you also have the usual oligarch enrichment. As they're watching television, they see that, you know, Orban has like this massive, gorgeous belly. It upsets people, right? And sometimes people snap. And so the fear button in this situation has jammed. Orban's whole late career brand was manufactured by the enemy. Soros, Brussels, migrants, Zelensky. And he was using that fear-mongering in order to keep himself in power. Now, I'm not saying that the fear-mongering is not justified in some cases, right? But the people can understand abstract fears as long as they have money and they have food in their bellies. The moment that people run out of food in their bellies, they stop being afraid, right? It's like, okay, Soros is coming. What the fuck is he going to do? I already can't pay rent. Right? That's the mentality of the average citizen. The average citizen isn't like the person coupled to geopolitics who like understand the cultural shifts in Europe, the demographic decline. No, he understands his family, and he understands his job, and he understands the fact that he's not making enough ends meet. And he blames the politicians. And so sometimes they try changing the politicians. Viktor Orban was there for what, like 16 years? And so everything bad that happens in the country, they blame on him. Now, the foreign friend strategy actually backfired. Now, I did make a joke in the beginning about JD Vance, but apparently that didn't work, right? Because Trump promising American economic might if Fidesz won is the kind of thing that plays great on GB News, and terribly with the actual Hungarians who don't love to be told how to vote by Americans. Believe it or not, Europeans like to be told how to vote by Brussels. It is what it is. The closeness to Russia also doesn't help. The average Hungarian doesn't hold very positive views on Russia because of historical reasons. Most Eastern European nations, for just reasons that I can't think of, probably completely irrational, they don't like Russia. And so Viktor Orban constantly saying positive things and getting sanctions from the European Union and getting threatened and shit like that. Again, it gets the young person, the pro-European minded individual, to reconsider whether or not Orban should or shouldn't be elected. And finally, there is this thing in politics. It's called incumbency rot. 16 years is a long time. Usually when you have a government for that long, the cronies manage to get greedier. People in power definitely believe that the bills never come due. And again, I understand that many people in the West, like, they care about immigration and they care about race and they care about all these nice things. In Europe, they care a lot when the government steals from them. Because you gotta understand, if you have a nation like the UK, or you have a nation like Germany, or you have a nation like the United States, you can have politicians grifting like no tomorrow, because there's a lot to steal from. It's a really big pot and you can steal a lot. In a small nation like Hungary, when you start stealing, it's noticeable. And if you steal for 16 years and you're doing all of this nepotism and all of this corruption, eventually people get sick and tired with you. And so you also end up surrounding yourself with people that are incompetent. So you have lazier ministers, you have lack of talent because people get promoted based on nepotism. And so the talent also dries up because nobody inside dares outshine the boss. And eventually the only people left around the leader are the yes men who tell him that the polls are wrong. Now, sure, like sometimes the polls are wrong, like in the case of Hillary Clinton. It can happen, but other times, especially the polls from your party, those aren't wrong. The polls that you pay for, no, those are accurate. And the polls did say that there is a high chance of Viktor Orban losing. And of course, you have the EU money lever, right? Like Brussels had been sitting on suspended funds over rule of law concern, and this doesn't look good on the Hungarian television. And so, look, like eventually it was bound to happen, right? Like in a democracy, no matter how much you like the leader because he is anti-immigration, anti-LGBT, anti-everything Soros adjacent, eventually things change. The good news is that, well, things can change the other way around, right? Like, for example, in Germany, like there can come a day when the CDU and the SPD aren't going to be in power. Just like in the UK, there can come a day where Labour or Tories aren't going to be in the government. It will happen. In Hungary, it happened today that Orban wasn't re-elected. Now, what I think is going to happen, probably not much. Probably not much, because again, the guy is literally the same illiberal like Orban. Now, he's going to have a couple of backs to scratch in the European Union because they did help him win. And he's probably going to stop blocking aid to Russia. He's probably going to be on board with everything else the European Union has when it comes to geopolitics. I don't think he's going to be really big on LGBT and immigration. I would be shocked if he is. But I personally don't think that, because a lot of Americans and Westerners are, like concerned that Hungary is going to lose its identity, blah, blah, blah. Remember what happened in Poland, right? Like, another guy won in Poland, and people also thought it's like, okay, now Poland is going to get invaded, and it's going to have, like, massive migration coming over there and shit. Didn't happen. Not to the extent that people expected, right? Poland is still not the LGBT capital of the world, and so, like, Eastern Europe is going to be Eastern Europe, regardless of who is in charge. But regarding the conflict with Russia, yes, Hungary is going to be more pro-EU, but it's probably going to be bad for them. And the reason it's going to be bad for them is that they do not have a lot of natural resources. And during the Cold War, a lot of the policy that Moscow had towards Hungary was exactly to make the infrastructure so much so that Hungary becomes dependent on Russian gas. And without Russian gas, well, it's winter and people still need heating, right? People, when they go buy something from the grocery store, the electricity prices are reflected into what they buy. And so things are going to get a little bit expensive in Hungary. But, yeah, I mean, look, you gotta change the corrupt man with another corrupt man. It is what it is. Do let me know what you guys think, especially if you're from Hungary. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.